Hello ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to be demonstrating how to create a paper shoe prototype. Now you might have already done a profile or a side view of your shoe. If you have, you can certainly use that. Otherwise, here's the demonstration again how to create a profile or side view of a shoe. I'm outlining mine in black Sharpie marker so it's more visible and easy to see on the camera. That is not necessary for you to do. Now, like I said, if you've already done one of these, you are still going to need to create a total of 3. So take the first one you might have already done and trace it so you have 3 duplicates or 3 copies exactly the same. Then you're going to be cutting them out. I would recommend that you either tape or just stack them on top of each other and then cut them out. So you can cut 3 out in one shot. That's going to save you a lot of time and effort and energy, and obviously making sure that they are duplicates and copies of each other. That will be efficient and easy to do. Now you are going to need to have one on the opposite side for the left side and the right side. So I quickly just trace that so it's visible, clean, and easy to see. So right now I'm demonstrating kind of how it's going to look when it's done based off of the done version here. So you can see kind of the 3-dimensional volume that's going to exist. So what we're doing is the back or the counter. You're going to need to make sure that it's wider than it needs to be so you can include a little bit of overlap. So I have the bottom piece flat and the top kind of curved. And then I'm going to be demonstrating again how to create the rest of your shoe, which includes the bottom. So you're going to be taking your existing shoe and you're going to be tracing the outside of it to create the outsole. Once you've created the outsole, you're going to need 2 of these or at least 1.5. So what I'm doing is I'm taking another piece of paper, stacking it on top, and then cutting it out. The full version or the full outsole is going to be the bottom, and the other piece is going to be the top that I'll be showing you how to use later on. So I'm kind of showing how the sides and the back are going to fit into that outsole. Now, your next step is to tape the counter or the back kind of heel of your shoe to your outsole. So I'm putting a little bit of tape on here. Now for your paper prototype, it's not overly critical that you have your tape hidden on the inside. You will need to make sure you do that for the final. So I'm taping it around. Observe how the profile or the side view of the shoe curves with the outsole. So it curves around to create the shape of the actual outsole. So you can see how your heel and then your middle of your foot and then the out and then kind of towards the toe curves wide and then in and then out, and the outside or the profile shoe curves with it. Now, when you're doing the left and the right side, try to make sure that they line up relatively equal with each other. If one's too far forward and one far back, you're going to have the issue that I have right here. But you can really quickly solve that problem by just adding a little bit of paper. So you can see I made a mistake. I messed that up. But I could just correct that with more paper. So this is why we do a prototype, so you can kind of work out all the kinks. And then you can make those corrections for the final more efficiently. Now remember, don't over tape this because you are going to deconstruct it for the final. So just do enough so it holds together and curves around the outsole. The next step is to do kind of the trim piece. This is usually kind of a waterproof barrier that goes just above the outsole on the profile of the shoe and also kind of around the toe box. So I have some strips here that are going to go on the outside. So I'm pre-taping them, and I'm going to be putting them on the outside. Now you might say, why am I doing this when I already have it drawn in place? Well, you need something to trace for your final, and we're going to also need to have texture and volume so your shoe really truly looks 3-dimensional. In other words, you need to make sure that it looks like a sculpture with kind of shadow that gets cast and volume and depth. And these things that we're adding on top of a shoe, these are called overlays. Overlays are things that go on top of your shoe. So again, this waterproofing barrier on the left and the right side are on top. And now I'm working on kind of the top part of your shoe. This is a little tricky, so if you get a little frustrated, just don't give up. It takes a little bit of effort. So I put a piece of tape or two on the front and then I put my hand underneath or inside the shoe to kind of tape it in place. And then I work my way from the front of the shoe up the sides to the back of the shoe. So just do one piece at a time, kind of folding it on the inside, just so it has the top secure. You want to limit the amount of visibility or light that goes through into the shoe. So try to make sure that it concaves or it conforms to the profile of the shoe. Now you can see that I cut off the extra because I don't need that. And that's going to act as my tongue, or I can add a tongue later on. Now remember how I have extra duplicates of the shoe? These are going to be the pieces that are going to be more of my overlays. So I'm cutting those out and I'm taping those on. Again, you might be saying, why am I doing this if it's already drawn on? Because we need volume and texture. And for the final, these are going to be most likely different colors to have more contrast against the underside of the profile. So if you look at an existing shoe, you're going to see a lot of stitching and rubber and fabric and things that go on top of each other. Same thing with the paper shoe. It's not just going to be a flat shoe with drawings on it. We want to have all these different overlaps. Now mine's going to have kind of a strap piece, like an old school 80s hybrid or cross trainer shoe. So I'm adding some of these different details that are going to go on the top of the shoe. So I'm considering all the different angles. I have the side profile on the left and the right side, and I'm also considering the top as well. So I'm cutting these pieces into place and taping them down. Just remember, your next step is to deconstruct a prototype and then lay it onto another piece of paper so you can create a duplicate with higher quality and eliminate your mistakes. And that's how you create a paper shoe prototype.